President Biden not only threw the gas tax holiday challenge to Congress, he's also challenging states to suspend their local gas taxes. And so far, 5 of them have already scrapped their gas tax or have started the process. They include Maryland, Georgia, Connecticut, New York, and Florida. What about the big oil drilling states? Joining us live, Republican Congressman Kevin Hern of Oklahoma. He's a member of the powerful House Ways and Means Committee. Congressman, welcome. We have this breaking news. Senator John Thune, a Republican, saying that the president's gas tax holiday is dead on arrival moments ago. Would you vote to temporarily suspend the federal gas tax? What's your thought here?
Liz, thanks for having me. And no, I wouldn't. What we're seeing right now, you just had on a litany of experts that didn't make the policy, saying it's bad policy. And a person that's in charge of Congress, Speaker Pelosi, just in March, saying that it was an element of showbiz for the president to even want to do this back in March. And all it's going to do, as you just alluded to, it's going to drive demand. It's going to signal that everything's going to get better, and it's not. It's the policies that this president put in place, the very first policy that he did, which was unraveling the Keystone XL pipeline, within an hour of getting sworn in last year. The policies that he has signaled out across America and around the globe that our producers in the United States are second-rate citizens, that they don't want them to really produce. The only reason to produce right now is just to save his policies. His policies are terrible. They're gimmicks to mask, what he's done to the American people.
Congressman, you don't think that raising, let me just say, you don't think that raising output would help the American people if the oil companies did that?
Well, it's very temporary. That's the problem. It's not a fix to the policies. And all we're going to do, as you heard the executive director of the CFRB, the Responsible Budget Committee, our group, talk about what are we going to do to backfill this? We're going to have to go to China. We're talking about bad policy, going to China to backfill our infrastructure. We're talking about at our state level. Now he's coaxing states to support his bad policies. It's terrible. And as in business, what is that consistency, predictability is what business people want. And what we're seeing time and time again from this administration is that this is part of the transition plan. Not my words, not Republican words. It's the words of the administration.
Well, we found it interesting. We can put up an intraday chart here. The stock market, the major indices all hit session highs as the president laid out what he would like to see. That said, there is a situation here where we look at demand versus supply, and lifting the gas tax would not fix the supply issue. You are from Oklahoma, obviously an important oil state. Why have you guys not ended your gas tax at the moment? What's behind the thought there?
Yeah, I've actually gone out and not tried to politicize. I've actually gone and sought the facts out. We're producing right now a near capacity where we were prior to COVID back in 2019. So as you have demand to even outstrip our supply opportunities, our refining opportunities in the United States, we've got a real problem. If the president is truly sincere about fixing gas prices in America, he should let our folks send our crude oil to the EU, to the places that have been depending upon Russia, instead of getting on Air Force One and flying to Saudi Arabia or trying to get rogue nations like Iran and Venezuela to provide for us.
Yeah, that's not a great idea, certainly. What we find interesting here, and as we look at what the Democrats are saying, you pointed out Nancy Pelosi has not been on board here. President Obama in the past called it a gimmick. There are desperate situations right now, and each window of opportunity is different year to year. But explain to our viewers why it isn't just politics to say no on the Republican side, because Republicans are the party that loves to bring down or get rid of taxes. And in the past, any move to raise the gas tax had been fought by Republicans. Why is now different?
Well, there's one thing to go raise taxes to create new spending programs. Our gas taxes in the United States, both the gas and our diesel tax, have been earmarked or are designed to go into our highway trust fund to support our infrastructure. That's been the way it's been funded for decades. And so when you remove those funds, they have to be backfilled some way or the other. And what we saw just last year, a $1.25 trillion infrastructure bill with only about $150 billion of real infrastructure, you have to go borrow that money. I mean, our deficits are running crazy over $1 trillion a year. This president put forth a budget that doesn't balance ever. And so we're out of control on our spending, on our debt, and this is going to exacerbate the problem that we're going to have in this country. We once were a net exporter, a great energy dominant nation. We need to return to where we were just 18 months ago.
Well, we do just want to deal in numbers. The federal deficit has come down by more than $1 trillion. But I do want to ask you quickly about Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, speaking today before the Senate. He will speak before the Congress tomorrow. And he was very firm. He is going to bring down inflation, even if it means tipping this economy into a recession. As a businessman, how do you view that move to continue to raise rates? Because it almost feels like a very tough decision. You got to tamp down inflation, and maybe it means tamping down demand so much so that we do tip into a recession.
Well, I've had many conversations with Chairman Powell over my 3.5 years in Congress through the Budget Committee and then on Ways and Means. But the issue is, I think the big issue he said in the Senate Banking Committee this past week was that inflation was happening prior to the Ukrainian war. I think that was the big headline because President Biden, has been blaming everything on President Putin. And what Chairman Powell basically validated is this is all about policy. This isn't about the war. Did the war help it? No, it's exacerbated a lot of problems.
Sure.
But the reality is that to be a leader, you have to recognize where you were. And when you have an energy policy secretary that wants to come out and bash oil and gas and then be surprised by the results you get, this White House is full of people that don't understand business principles like, supply and demand. And what we're seeing right now is a result of the American people hurting. Some 1 in 5 Americans now are going to have to cut off their energy, as the latest poll that we saw, because they're having to make a decision of whether they're paying energy on their home or energy in their car.
Gotcha. Congressman Kevin Hern, thank you so much. I'm just checking oil right now, pulling back by about 3 1/3%. RBOB gasoline wholesale up just under $1. We appreciate you coming on, and we always try to be very fair and balanced here on the Claman Countdown. We did reach out to the House Ways and Means Committee for a Democratic congressperson to join us for their perspective. None were available, and perhaps this news that many Democrats do not like this plan of suspending the gas tax possibly be part of the reason. We don't know, but all Democrats and Republicans welcome on this show to talk about business issues.